Have you ever been in business, operating in business, and you have one of the things that happens, all these things come at you all the time about this, how about that, here's an opportunity. One of the things that we need in business is a way to be able to look at anything that's coming our way and determine if it's appropriate for us. So it's almost, how do you know what to say no to? If you want to find out how to build a bit of a process to know what to say no to, check out this video. So what I want to share with you in this video is a little bit of information about how to create a framework or some non-negotiables, I call them, so that in business, also in life, when things come your way, you have some reference point to be able to determine if it's the right thing for you and for your business, as opposed to, is it just a good thing to do? And I'm going to go through and talk a little bit about this and how I've used it over the years to help me provide more clarity in the decisions that I make in business and in life. Okay, so you're in business, things are happening, stuff coming your way all the time, opportunities present themselves, you have friends or colleagues say, I've got a business opportunity, something going on here, I think this would be great, did you want to have a look at this? And I don't know if you've noticed this, but anytime that someone presents an opportunity, it's all about the opportunity itself, the profitability, the money you can make, how it ties into potentially another business, all those sorts of things. And that's great. The thing that's missing with that sort of an approach to assessing an opportunity is if it's the right sort of opportunity for you and for your business. Because one of the things that can happen, we're people that run businesses like ourselves are just all over the place, always looking for a new opportunity, something going on over here. And what we need to develop a bit of a skill in is knowing what to say no to when something doesn't actually fit or isn't actually going to work for you. Because if you're clear about where you want to head, both at a personal level and where your business needs to be going, then you can create a bit of a framework for determining what's going to get you there or what's actually going to take you off on another path. One of the tools that I have is what we call policy. I have this for all my businesses, and what they are is non-negotiable guidelines or parameters for the business. We have this within our own life when we make decisions, but we have this for each of the businesses. And what these policies do is these are really non-negotiables. These are things that you've thought about and have become very important to the way that you chose and you choose to run your business. Because in essence, if you maintain and stay true to these policies or these guidelines, then you know that your business and the way you're operating your own life is going to get you closer to your ideal scene or where you want to end up, if that makes sense. And so creating a bit of a list of these policies, typically it's just a running list, and I've developed them for all different businesses. And from the things that have worked for me in the past and things that haven't worked for me in the past, I've sort of developed a little bit of a framework. So what sort of things could you put on this list? For example, in order for me to operate a business, it needs to be cash flow positive, which is really interesting. So I don't like building a business and then running it for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months without it actually generating any cash flow or profits. That's just not something I do. So I have an expectation of a kick-off a business, it makes money from the get-go. So that's a policy that I have. Another policy is that to build up reserves in a business. So for me, I'd like to know when I can take extra cash out of the business, and how do you know that? And I've got a policy that says that I want to build up 12 months worth of operating expenses in reserves for any business that I have. And that takes a little bit of time to do, but it does put yourself and your business in a very strong position. Another policy which I have is that we don't have any offices and all our team work from home. That's just not something that's recent. We've been doing that now for over 15 years. That's how we choose to run and operate our businesses. And so often people say, oh, look, there's a great office coming up and you can get yourself a good position in here. And we're not really into that because it just goes totally against one of our core policies that we don't have offices, for example. So these are some of the policies that you need to have in place. I don't operate businesses, for example, where you have to make things, store things, transport, because I've had those sorts of businesses before, and they're just not suitable for what I want to, how I want to operate and how I want to run my life and my business. So it's just another policy that I have around business. So by having some of these policies or these guidelines, it'll certainly make it a lot easier for yourself to sort of make decisions about things that come your way, both in your personal life and in business. So what I'd suggest you do is you have a think about your past experiences. If you've been in business before, things have gone well or not gone so well, what were the things that created stress for you, didn't really work for you, you went, that wasn't ideal. And so then how can you develop a bit of a, you want to avoid those obviously, if they weren't great, they weren't ideal. So how can then you, what sort of a policy or a guideline could you put in place to make sure that those events don't take place again? Just makes sense, you know. And so you can think about that, look at your business at the moment, and also look at decisions that are coming to you or requests or opportunities. And when you assess these opportunities, you want to have a little bit more of a global view on the opportunity. So you can assess the opportunity by the opportunity itself. The type of business, the markets it's in, the potential sales, the profitability, all that sort of stuff, which is great. So that's looking at the business itself, the opportunity itself. This also applies to any business that you may be looking to begin or to start. The other aspects of looking at an opportunity like that is how it's going to work for you personally and how it will work for your existing business if it's something that relates to it. And is it going to get you closer to where you want to go and where you want to take your business? So that's a different consideration. You're not just assessing the opportunity with the usual financial metrics, the profitability and the market share and how we can grow it and what can we sell it for, all that sort of stuff, which is great. But you're also looking at it from a more global perspective of how it's going to work for you personally and for your existing business. It is an important consideration because we have limited resources, we have limited time to apply to things and understand, you know, the more things that we put our attention on, the less we can go deeper or potentially focus on some areas. So by being able to not get involved in a lot of things, it can be a really positive thing. And you can change. I mean, you can go back and have developed these policies relating to how you run and operate your businesses. But you can decide, look, it's not actually appropriate anymore. So instead of just ignoring it, you change it, change your policy, change your guidelines, you know. And you might end up with 10 or 15 of these core policies or core guidelines that are the non-negotiables for you and for your business, you know, and then your team can understand that, and it makes it very clear about how you choose to operate your businesses and what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. Things that we've always looked at, for example, is debt. That could be a policy. You might decide on no debt. You know, I have a policy that I don't really use debt for my businesses. Because debt's always unraveled and it can cause a lot of issues. So we have a policy of not using debt, using capital instead to expand or grow the business. That's a key policy. I had that policy relating to, it's very important that if we're going to create more services or more offerings, that it needs to benefit the existing businesses that I run and operate, right? Not rather than take resources away from them, which is another core policy. And so these are things to consider which will make your decision making in business a lot easier. And it just takes a little bit of time to sit down and say, well, what are your non-negotiables? They're non-negotiables. So they're things about how you choose to run, operate your business. It might relate to your personal life that will require you to run and operate your business in a particular way. And it might relate to cash flow, it might relate to locational bound, it might relate to how you engage your team. But what I would really encourage you to do is think through the sort of policies, the non-negotiables policies that are important for you and your business, and then implement them in place. And then you can reference and refer back to them at any time you're making any critical decisions in your business or opportunities come your way and you're trying to work out, is this a great opportunity for us? That will make your whole decision-making process a lot simpler. And when you're assessing or reviewing anything such as an opportunity, you can assess it more globally as opposed to just looking at the particular opportunity itself, which can be problematic in some situations. Thanks for joining me for this episode. If you want to get more from this series, subscribe now. Love to hear a comment from you and some of your experience in this area. Ciao for now. Thanks for listening. As you know, we grow organically. It's really people like yourself that enable us to get the word out. If you like what you hear, please give us a rating, leave a good comment and share this with your friends. Thank you.